Great news, viewers. You could still join up with one of these cults if you want to. These are cults that exist to this day.
Yeah, some might cost you money or
I think a lot
your
of them
soul.
will. Definitely your soul.
Yeah.
There's nothing appealing about joining this first cult, which is called the Brethren. Let me list off some of their rules. No dancing, no laughing, no intimate activity with the opposite sex, limited medical treatment, can't look in the mirror, can't watch movies, and a lot of these folks also eat garbage. This group is also sometimes referred to as the Garbage Eaters, so they sound like a ball. The group was founded by a man named Jim Roberts in the 70s. Members also give up their possessions, they cut ties with their families, and they live nomadically, wearing ragged clothes and scavenging for food in dumpsters. The Brethren believe in a very literal interpretation of the Bible, emphasizing the end times and the need for repentance and simplicity. They see themselves as the true followers of Jesus, living as he did without attachment to worldly things, rejecting the materialism of modern life, which is not something I'm entirely against. I mean, I think the modern world is way too focused on materialism, but these folks take things a little too extremely. I don't really need to be dumpster diving, and movies are too important to me to give up. Plus, life in the Brethren is extremely controlled. Members obey the group's leaders without question. Any dissent is quickly squashed, and any money that the members do make while doing odd jobs, that just goes straight to the group.
Next up, we have a cult like you've never seen before. It's a TikTok cult, and I'm not kidding. Actually, just over a week ago, Netflix released a documentary about this cult titled Dancing with the Devil, outlining all of the very real torment that went on behind the closed doors of 7M Studios and Shekinah Church. 7M Studios was founded in 2021 by a man named Robert Shin, who also just so happens to be a pastor of the church. However, he is now best known for recruiting young TikTok dancers online, flying them to LA and forcing them to cut all contact with the outside world, all in the name of making it big. He was able to provide his dancers with opportunities like commercials and even being on the Ellen Show, but it was all at a cost. He wanted their loyalty and their money and their devotion. He also pressured many of his female dancers into providing him with adult favors. Now, you would think since the documentary's release, Shin would have been charged and the cult dismantled, but that's not the case. Robert Shin currently faces no criminal charges, and he is still the pastor of his church, and he's still CEO of 7M Studios, which continues to run to this day. If you're trying to make it big in LA, I suggest you find a different way to do it.
Next up, we have the Nuwaubian Nation. The Nuwaubian Nation is a controversial group centered around its founder, Dwight York. The group's beliefs are a pretty unique mix. It draws from Christianity, ancient Egyptian symbols, African rituals, and they even throw aliens into the mix. They believe that one day aliens will arrive on Earth to transport 144,000 chosen people to Orion in a flying city to prepare for a final battle against Satan. And you don't need to eat garbage and refrain from laughing either. Now, that is how you sell a cult. I mean, that just sounds like a time, right? York ended up gaining enough followers to build a compound with funds donated by followers. Over time, he expanded the group's mythology to include ideas about cloning, there's racial theories, cosmology, anti-government conspiracies. By the way, their compound looked really cool. It was like, it had all these like pyramids and stuff. There's a video of it. I was like, man, that looks appealing. It looks like an Egyptian themed theme park or something. There's even like a dance club in there. Awesome. Now, while the group was growing, York was under investigation for some pretty serious crimes though. In 2002, he was arrested and later convicted for running a large human trafficking operation involving up to 1,000 victims, and there's some creepier stuff in there that I'm not really allowed to talk about here on YouTube. It's pretty despicable. Anyway, he was sentenced to life in prison, and the authorities seized and demolished the Nuwaubian compound. But a much smaller version of the cult still exists today.
Next up, we have the Church of Scientology, a for-profit religious group given the classification of cult by the Parisian, Austrian, Chilean, Indonesian, Israeli, and Italian government. Australia classifies the group as a criminal organization, and Belgium, Brazil, China, Colombia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Egypt, Finland, Greece, and Japan do not recognize Scientology as a religion. So what actually is Scientology? Well, it's the weird organization Tom Cruise joined and dedicated his entire life to, for some reason. According to the website, however, Scientology is knowing yourself, life, family, the universe, friends, the spirit, and the word of God. Also, their introduction video looks and sounds like the safety videos they play on airplanes. Clearly, their budget is not going to that. According to others, it is part forced group therapy, part religious propaganda, part UFO group, and all money-grabbing pyramid scheme. I mean, what kind of church charges its disciples to learn its teachings? And I'm not talking about donations. In order to reach the highest currently available level in the church, it will cost you $391,000. The whole thing is just insane. And in America, the organization has non-profit status, meaning they don't pay taxes. Scientology is weird and sketchy, and I recommend you stay far away from it. And from Tom Cruise.
This next group was the inspiration for the Sunshine Carpet Cleaners in Seinfeld. They're called the Church of Bible Understanding, and even with a number of controversies under their belt, they're still in operation today. The group was started in the early 70s by a man named Stuart Trail in Allentown, Pennsylvania. From the start, people have criticized Trail for being too controlling, and many have compared the church to a cult. They're said to manipulate people. Former members have come out and said that the church targets vulnerable people looking for a sense of belonging. Once they join, they feel pressured to give a lot of their money and time to the church. Many ex-members talk about being urged to donate big chunks of their income and even gave up their personal belongings. This led to accusations that Trail and the church leaders were living well off these donations, while regular members often struggled. The group has also been involved in a number of failed business ventures, most famously, of course, Christian Brothers Carpet Cleaning. But the worst thing about the group is their orphanages in Haiti. The group ran substandard housing for orphans in Haiti, despite claiming to spend around $2.5 million annually. The homes were so dirty and overcrowded that the Haitian government said they shouldn't remain open. Then on February 14th of 2020, one of these orphanages burnt down, killing 15 orphans.
Next up, we have the Branch Davidians. If they sound familiar, you are either one of them or have heard us talk about them before, or heard someone else talk about them, or you read about them. Anyways, the Branch Davidians are a religious cult that originated during the early 90s. They were led by David Koresh, and their headquarters were located in McLennan County, Texas. They were also wanted by local police, as well as the FBI. Why? Well, because they were stockpiling weapons. In April of 1993, authorities stepped in, and the deaths of 75 cult members, including the death of the cult's leader, David Koresh, occurred after the followers of the branch set off a fire in the headquarters. While at first the incident led the public to believe that the cult had dissipated, it is now known that the Branch Davidians do still exist in scattered communities across the United States. While some believe David Koresh twisted the teachings of the Bible, giving the organization a bad name, others hold firm to his message and continue to share his twisted teachings, which involve a lot of weird adult relations, to this day.
Aleph may not sound all that familiar to you, but they're a Japanese doomsday cult that is very much operating today. They're not new though. Aleph was formerly called Aum Shinrikyo, the cult responsible for the 1995 Tokyo subway sarin attack. Members of the cult released sarin gas, a highly toxic nerve agent, on several lines of the Tokyo subway during rush hour. The attack killed 13 people, severely injured 50, and caused temporary vision problems for nearly 1,000 others. The cult's leader, Shoko Asahara, and several key members were later arrested, tried, and sentenced to death for their roles in the attack. In 2019, a member of Aleph attempted to take as many lives as possible in retaliation for the execution of the former leader. He ran into random pedestrians with his car, injuring 8 people.
Heaven's Gate, another cult we've mentioned on this channel before, but what I'm pretty sure we haven't mentioned in our previous videos is that the cult actually still exists. Quick recap, Heaven's Gate was a UFO cult founded in the early 1970s by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. The two believed that the human body was nothing more than a container, and that one day aliens would visit Earth and bring the chosen ones, i.e. those who followed the strict rules of the cult, to the kingdom of heaven, which the pair believed to be located on the Hale-Bopp comet. In 1997, after the death of Bonnie Nettles and during the Hale-Bopp comet's closest connection to Earth, Applewhite, along with 39 others, took their own lives by drinking poison. Did they make it to the kingdom of heaven? Who knows? But what we do know is that there's a good chance that the cult still exists today, even after the deaths of both of its founders. How do we know this? Well, because the Heaven's Gate website continues to be maintained by 2 people living in Arizona who claim that one day they will join the rest of the Heaven's Gate followers in the kingdom of heaven, therefore bringing their existence to the next level. And while they claim that they're the only remaining members of the cult, the fact that they still preach the teachings of the cult to others with whom they have frequent and repeated online interactions with, and that they are selling books and videos online about the group and its teachings, tells a different story.
The Unification Church, whose members are often referred to as Moonies, has stirred up plenty of controversy since it was founded in 1954 by Sun Myung Moon in South Korea. The church has been accused of exploiting its followers financially. Obviously, of course, that's most of these groups. Members are often encouraged to donate large sums of money, sometimes handing over their entire savings. There have been reports of members being pressured to sell flowers and trinkets and other items on the streets to raise money for the church. The Unification Church also has quite a bit of political influence, though, which has caused some concern. Even in the United States, the Washington Times newspaper, that was founded by Sun Myung Moon. One of the most bizarre and well-known aspects of the Unification Church, though, is all its weird mass wedding ceremonies where thousands of couples are married at the same time, often in these huge stadiums, and a lot of them don't even know their spouse before the ceremony. They get paired up by church leaders. Very bizarre.
And finally, we have the Fundamental Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a polygamous cult that often engages in intra-familial relations as well as relations with young people, if you know what I mean. In July of 1953, the organization, based in Short Creek, Arizona, was raided and the entire population of the cult was arrested. Between 2003 and 2006, many charges were filed against older members of the community by younger members of the community in regards to forced adult encounters. In 2008, 12 men were charged in relation to those crimes, 2 more were charged in 2009, and 2 more in 2010. Also in 2010, the organization was raided again after it was brought to the attention of officials that they had been misusing religious funds. Shocker. In 2011, the cult's leader Warren Jeff was arrested and eventually sentenced to life in prison for crimes of adult nature and for aiding in crimes of adult nature. Now, you would think with all of the legal interference that the cult would have officially disbanded by this point, but it hasn't. Not only that, but Warren Jeff is still running it behind bars. Not only that, but during his time in prison, Jeffs wrote a book from the perspective of God, warning people that they were going to be super sorry for imprisoning him. I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm feeling pretty good about the court's decision on this one. Which cult would you join?
I was just about to ask you that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You're me?
Yeah.
Oh, the one with the pyramids.
Yeah, anything to do with space as well is kind of where I'm like, I might sign up for that.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, we'll catch you guys next time.
That we will.